So part of the sermon will be a little interactive. So I want everyone to have a partner. So make sure, let's see, you have somebody to partner with. Okay. I'm not gonna be part of the exercise, but so maybe Caroline, you can come here with Bob. Excellent. All right, so today is about loving through listening. When Shauna was praying, she talked about, you said, I hope we can hear whatever God wants to say to us today. And I think listening is a bit, even like hearing is kind of a little bit passive, right? Like something's going to be said and then it'll come upon our ears. But I like to even think of, let's listen to what God has to say, like we're actively out there, like looking for it, So that's what we're talking about today. What do you guys think of when you think about listening or loving through listening? What do you think about?
Hearing someone's problems.
Hearing someone's problems, yeah.
Paying attention to someone's situation.
Yeah. Anything is good, like I'm not good at listening is fine, or whatever you think about. Respecting people, right? Whatever they say is valid, is active. Yeah, I think that's exactly where I'm going. So, I want to share a few words about listening from Champumogyam. What kind of person was I this is True Father saying, what kind of person was I in 1957 or 1958? I was a teacher who listened better than anyone else did to what others said, no matter who they were. Elderly ladies talked about their marriage, even telling me exactly how they loved their husbands. They would say everything they had wanted to say until that moment. Everything. Amazing. Everyone who had visited me said he really listened to what I had to say. And anyone have an experience of being listened to by True Father, or that kind of like really being heard by him? I'm just curious, is that something that you experience when you're with him? Maybe not. Anyone think? Yeah, I can imagine, see True Father just like the best listener ever, right? Just completely, what I hear from this is like, he's right there. He can hear and relate and empathize with everything that anyone says. Like he just completely accepts it, completely sees things from their perspective and from God's perspective when he's listening. After listening, Father would pour out his heart, even if it means I have to stay up until midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning. If I talk with him for 2 or more hours, he can overcome his barrier. We should see each person's life as precious. This is something that I've experienced myself a lot. Overcoming my barriers through being heard. One of my friends on Facebook, she was joking and she's like, "How do you guys deal with stress?" And she's a college student, and she kind of made a funny post like, "How do you deal with stress?" I usually like make pancakes and then toss them up like popcorn and eat, like catch it in my mouth. Like that was the post, right? And there were like 30 comments that came of all her friends coming in and like they cared about her. They were like sharing with her how they deal with stress and all kinds of things. And I wrote something, and one of the ways that I deal with stress is I'll call someone and I'll ask them to listen to me. Or I'll call someone that I trust that, they already know sometimes that I'm just like, hey, I need someone that can just listen to me. Actually, I was talking to Caroline about, what was the book? About wise people, you're wise. Real Love talks about having these people in your life that you can just speak to, right? So my experience is when I hear someone, or when I have the experience of being completely heard and understood like the people were that your father listened to, I can overcome any barrier. I can overcome the thing that I was thinking, sometimes I'll call my brother when I'm really upset about something with Homare, I'll just talk about, and I'm not calling to like get support, but actually what I want is to get over it and, go back to being like a great husband and a good husband and, back to being who I want to be, not upset or annoyed or frustrated. Homare and I were talking before the sermon, and I was like, honey, what's a good example of where we've like had an experience of not listening and listening, and how it's worked well for us, actually for Homare and I, one thing that's really, and I'm imagine this is important for a lot of, maybe this is in a lot of marriages, is Homare used to say to me, Josh, I really want you to spend more time with the family and the kids, right? Has anybody heard that from their wife or husband before? Some wives are nodding. Some husbands acknowledge it. Yeah, so I was like, but in the beginning, for a long time, like years, and it's still something that I deal with and struggle with, but I thought she was just telling me that I am not doing enough, that I'm not, I just heard it like, Josh, like a complaint, like, you have to, find more time and be with the family more, or you don't care about the family, or, and that was really hard, right? I'm sure some of you have experienced very similar things with, maybe not with your kids, but, well, I guess many people here have kids, but with your parents or with your friends. So today I want to talk about what can we do about that? Like, what can you do when you have that kind of conflict, right, with somebody where you don't see eye to eye? And how can we have other people feel like they can just overcome anything by listening to them? So that's what I want to talk about today. To start with, this is an assertion that from Steve Covey. Who knows Steve Covey?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Who's read one of his books? Very awesome. I think one of the first books that I read after graduating from not having to required reading was what is it called? How to influence people? How to make friends and influence people? No, that's not him. I haven't even read it. Maybe I haven't read it. Cut that from the recording. All right. So most of us don't listen with the intent to understand. We listen with the intent to reply. Can someone rephrase that for us? Say that in their own words. John?
I'm more concerned with what I have to say than what you have to say.
Mm-hmm. I know how to fix you. Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh. I mean, like, who doesn't think that when they're listening to somebody? No one's gonna raise your hand.
or I know better than you.
Right. Yes. 100%.
Dad knows a lot of things. He deals with a lot of things.
Charlie, I'm not supposed to say why I do this stuff.
My dad understands
Guilty.
this very well.
Awesome. Great. So, I want to go into something. Seven ways that we can be a better listener, and I want to talk about one more reason why it's important to be a better listener. With Homare and I, this was a very big, this was a big disagreement between us, or a struggle for us about not spending time with the kids, and it was something that, hurt Homare, and that I was, I'm like, I have to, pastor, I have to work, I have to do these things, like, how can I I don't even, some stuff with the kids isn't, sometimes it's not even, it's stressful, it's not even that fun. So I was really being all of just making things kind of complicated, but after I followed really actually these steps, I listened to Homare. I really was trying to hear why does she want, what's her what does she really care about? Why is she saying that she wants me to spend time with the family more? Sounds a little bit obvious maybe, but it's not that easy. So I was really listening, okay, why, and thinking about, reflecting on that. And I realized that Homare, what she wants is joy in the family. She wants the children to go out, have fun. She wants us to be together, and just like this bubble of joy, just coming up. And the way that she sees that is to be together, go out, take the kids out to, I don't know, zoo or whatever, anything, at park, things like that. So after I realized that, and after I really listened to what she wanted, what she was saying behind the words that she was saying, I was like, oh, of course, I want Homare to be happy. That's one of the main things that I want, and that I care about the most. And I want to see my youngin and Caleb smiling and every day just filled up. So I thought, yeah, okay, no problem. Now it's much easier for me to just be oh yeah, we need to make sure we have some time for the family. And I can even say no to pastor related things, or say no to other things, requests that come to me. I'm no, this is important for my happiness, for our family's happiness. So we've been doing it, and I've had a lot of peace of mind myself about the whole discussion, which is really, really awesome. And then not only that, but I could see actually God's speaking through Homare, because Homare she cares so much about this kind of light, happiness, this joy and fun. And I really felt that aspect of God spoke through her, and through me listening to her, I could connect to something that God wants for the world, or what for me to hear. So that's the next point that I wanted to make, is listening to people is a way to hear God speaking to you, right? And I'm sure, you know that and you've heard that. So, we're going to go through these, we're going to do these steps now. Or I'm going to go over them and then show them, ask someone to come, and I'll just listen to you, and then we'll do it as a group with your partner. Okay, so 7 ways to be a better listener. Be open. So, who said? Shauna said, what they're saying is valid, right? I think that's exactly what this is talking about. So be open. I mean, that's what I mean by it. Be open. You don't have to. You don't have to let go of your values or your beliefs, but you can still hear the other person's and be open to and accept other person's point of view, right? Even if your point of view is different from theirs, right? Does that make sense? Do you guys follow what I'm saying? What's another way to say be open?
Shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
shut up and listen.
Yeah?
Don't
Because-
judge.
Don't prejudge, right? Yeah.
Be flexible.
Humility, have humility.
Humility. Very deep. Wow, John. I mean,
I'm telling you, he knows,
you
he
should
knows
come
this
up.
very well. He has a woman.
So Shauna, why does John? Number 2.
What's her name?
Create the space to listen. So, especially these days, I think this is really important. You know, I'm guilty of this where I'll have some family, like my mom. There's times where my mom will call me and I'll be like on Facebook while my mom's talking to me, right? I mean, I'm sure you have experienced that or done it yourself. And maybe that's okay sometimes, but I really think that, you know, really to be a better listener, just don't multitask, you know. I never thought that listening was like, I used to think I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm a good listener. But I've actually learned through this exercise and some other things that you can like completely connect with someone's heart so deeply just by listening to them. I mean, and key point is create the space, create an environment, meaning, you know, calling, for example. Calling is a great, is a better than, for example, well, you can't really listen via text, for instance, but, that's all part of that. Listening and not multitasking. So now the next 3, 4, and 5 are going to be like the steps that we are going to do together, so pay attention to those. Number 3 is listen to the words being said. And that's, like, what is, okay, listen to the words being said, but like, really get every single word that the person said, right? So, my wife Mari says, Josh, let's do, what are we gonna do this weekend?